In 2026, India is chairing the most powerful economic bloc on Earth. Not the G7, not the United Nations, not NATO. A bloc that now represents over 40% of the world's GDP and more than 40% of the world's population. A bloc that is growing faster than any alliance in modern history. This is the full story of BRICS 2026 and how India is using it to help build a new world order.
To understand why this matters, you need to understand what BRICS actually is. BRICS began as a financial concept in 2001, an economist's observation that Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa were the fastest-growing large economies on Earth. It became a formal summit group in 2009 and a genuine geopolitical force by the early 2020s. What started as 5 countries is now 11 full members and 10 partner countries, a coalition that spans every continent on Earth. BRICS is not a military alliance. It is an economic and diplomatic coalition built on one simple idea: the world should not be governed only by the West.
Here is the number that changes everything. BRICS economies now account for approximately 40% of the world's GDP in purchasing power terms. The G7, the world's most powerful Western economic alliance, accounts for less than 28% in the same measure. For the first time in modern history, the world's largest economic bloc is not led by the United States. BRICS also represents over 40% of the world's population, including the 2 most populous nations on Earth, India and China. Until 2023, BRICS had 5 members. Then, everything changed. In 2024, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia all joined the bloc. In 2025, Indonesia, the world's 4th most populous country and Southeast Asia's largest economy, became the 10th full member. Today, BRICS has 11 full members and 10 partner countries waiting in a closer orbit. Every country that joins BRICS is making a statement that it wants more than one option for trade, finance, and diplomatic alignment. The queue of countries seeking to join BRICS is itself a signal of how dramatically global power has shifted.
On January 1st, 2026, India officially assumed the BRICS chairmanship. India has held the chair before, in 2012, 2016, and 2021. But 2026 is different. This is the first time India chairs an expanded BRICS with 11 members, including Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Egypt, and Indonesia. Prime Minister Modi announced India's vision at the 2025 BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro. He proposed redefining BRICS as building resilience and innovation for cooperation and sustainability. India's message was clear. This chairmanship is not about confronting the West. It is about building something better for everyone.
India's 2026 BRICS chairmanship is built on 4 pillars. The first pillar is resilience, building supply chains, health systems, and economic structures that can withstand global shocks. After COVID disrupted every supply chain on Earth, after Russia's war disrupted food and energy, BRICS nations want systems that do not collapse when one part of the world is in crisis. The second pillar is innovation, emerging technologies, digital infrastructure, and startups. India brings more to this pillar than any country in the bloc. Its UPI digital payment system, its IT industry, and its semiconductor mission all demonstrate what developing world innovation looks like at scale. The third pillar is cooperation, deepening political, economic, and people-to-people ties within the bloc. With 11 countries spanning wildly different political systems, cultures, and interests, this is the hardest pillar of all. India's chairmanship is trying to find common ground where China and India disagree, where Russia and Western-leaning members diverge. The fourth pillar is sustainability, climate action, clean energy, and green development. India launched its 2026 BRICS website, theme, and logo in January, with a lotus flower at its center, representing purity, resilience, and India's civilizational values at the heart of global governance.
The most consequential initiative being discussed under India's BRICS chairmanship is also the most misunderstood. India's Reserve Bank proposed in January 2026 a plan to link the digital currencies of BRICS member countries for cross-border trade and tourism. The idea builds on a 2025 BRICS declaration that supported interoperability of payment systems across member nations. This means someone in India could pay someone in Russia, Brazil, or South Africa directly in their own currencies without routing the transaction through American-owned financial infrastructure. This is not a replacement for the dollar. The dollar remains by far the world's dominant reserve and trade currency. Even senior economists who created the BRICS concept now say alternatives are no longer a fantasy, but the dollar's central role has not been displaced. What is being built is something more subtle and more durable, a parallel system that gives BRICS nations a choice they did not previously have.
India's position inside BRICS is unlike any other member. India is neither a U.S. ally, like Japan or South Korea, nor an adversary, like Russia or Iran. India is a founding BRICS member that simultaneously sits in the Quad alongside the United States, Japan, and Australia, a military partnership specifically designed to counter China. India has unresolved border disputes with China, the same China that is BRICS' largest economy. Yet India chairs BRICS not despite these contradictions, but because of them. India's strategic autonomy, its refusal to be permanently tied to any single bloc, is exactly what makes it the right nation to lead a coalition that needs to bridge the global south with the rest of the world. PM Modi called this approach humanity first, placing people's welfare above geopolitical confrontation.
The scale of interest in joining BRICS tells its own story. Countries want BRICS membership because it offers something the Western-dominated institutions, the IMF, the World Bank, the G7, do not. It offers trade diversification without depending entirely on the dollar. It offers diplomatic coordination without requiring alignment with U.S. foreign policy. It offers access to the world's two largest emerging economies, India and China, as partners rather than competitors. And increasingly, it offers a voice for the global South in institutions where developing nations have historically been told what to do rather than asked what they need. The 18th BRICS Leaders Summit will be held in New Delhi in September 2026. India has been preparing for this summit all year. In May 2026, India hosted the BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting in New Delhi. In June 2026, India hosted the BRICS National Security Advisors meeting in New Delhi. The agenda for the summit includes global governance reform, technology cooperation, health security, clean energy, and the BRICS Plus format that now includes partner nations alongside full members.
India is not just chairing BRICS. India is trying to use BRICS to define its place in the world for the next generation. For most of the 20th century, India was a large country with limited global influence, too poor to be taken seriously, too democratic to be aligned with the Soviet Union, too non-aligned to be embraced by the West. That India no longer exists. Today, India is the world's fifth largest economy, and soon to be the third largest. It has the world's largest population, the world's largest youth workforce, the world's fastest-growing major economy, and a military that proved in Operation Sindoor it can act decisively. India chairing BRICS is not a diplomatic courtesy. It is a signal that the world's most important emerging power is now shaping the global agenda, rather than responding to it.
In 1991, India was so broke it had to physically ship its gold reserves to London to avoid defaulting on loans. 35 years later, India chairs an economic bloc larger
than the G7. That is not just a success story. That is one of the most dramatic national transformations in modern history. BRICS, under India's chairmanship, is not the end of Western dominance. It is the beginning of a world where Western dominance is one of several competing centers of power. India is not choosing between East and West. India is building a world where that choice is no longer necessary.